Let's go, let's go, let's go. I got some water today, so I should be good. I don't think I'll need it that much. I don't think there's gonna be a long screen, guys. I don't think there's gonna be a long screen. It's Friday Eve. I promise you in this career field, they work from Monday, they work from Tuesday to about Wednesday. Like 2 days, yeah. That's what it seems like sometimes when I try to go get information. So let's go ahead and do our disclaimer. Yes, I am live. Yes, I am live, computer. Disclaimer. There you go. Disclaimer. The videos presented here are for informational purposes only, and therefore, if you are to choose to attend the institution, please do your own research and consult with a specialist at the institution you are interested in. I am not a financial aid specialist, academic advisor, or representing any institution. Speaking on behalf of Creator, Henry is only speaking from his experience. Okay, let's get that out of the way. So we coming straight into it. Straight into it. No fluff. No fluff. So, where is it? Is that it? No, that's not it. But I did not see that until now. I had to speak on that. I did not see that. Yeah, I did not see that. Stanford plans for layoffs. My eyes, guys. Y'all lashes are some serious, I tell you. Stanford plans for layoffs, but not regular layoffs, mass layoffs. So the university plans to terminate per Chronicle Higher Education, because my headline is that, yeah. So the university plans to terminate 363 positions at the end or by the end of September, according to their mass layoff notification. It says leaders cited a $140 million budget reduction. $140 million budget reduction driven by higher federal endowment tax rates and the Trump administration cuts to research funding. So the research funding and those federal, remember we talked about those endowment tax rates. Oof, $440 million budget. So how does this affect you as a student? Or how does this affect workers and all that jazz, right? Because most of the time it's like, what does this got to do with us? Guys, anytime a school does reduction like this, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good. Because your programs can be cut. It's actually, I think, another segment we're going to talk about programs being cut. Your programs can be cut, which means like your major. Like if you want to major in, as I'm just saying, for example, if you want to major in like business or chemistry, these are popular majors. But you get the gist of it, right? Those can be either taken away or they can be merged together. So right here, this was published by San Francisco Chronicles. And these ads, I tell you, ads really are driving crazy. So where is it? That's it right here. I wonder why it didn't take me directly to it. Maybe I have to find it a little bit on their website. They got a lot of stuff. Obviously, it's about San Francisco, but they have a lot of information in here. As this loads, this is it right here. Yep, Stanford lays off hundreds, citing federal cuts under Trump. Okay, let's see. Let me go to the control room right quick too, guys, as I'm going. Watching and waiting and watching and waiting and watching. Now that that's loaded up. What the? Why is this speedy up? I did not ask to be on this speed. Computers do what they want sometimes, guys. I promise you. A lot. Oh, I might not have full access to this. Wow. So the article's not free? Really? All right. This is one of my research skills. Research skills activate. Stanford plans layoffs. Y'all can't be the only ones with that story. Y'all might be the only ones with the detail, but not the only ones with the story. All right, quick guys, real quick. As we try to see why they only have. Oh yeah, we got some more news. Let me see who we got that from. This is about NDTV World. And look, they're giving it to us for free. It might not be as detailed, but it'll do the job probably. So right here it says Stanford University plans to add hundreds of staff due to funding cuts for higher education under President Trump. The latest mass layoff at an elite U.S. college. So guys, if you go into a very elite college, this is one of them. You know, you got the Harvards, you got the Columbias, you got the Harvard, Columbia, you got John Hoskins, you got many more. And so if you're going to one of these schools, your schools are doing cuts. Could your major be cut? Your major could be cut. You can see some real big changes coming federal-wise that could really jeopardize what you're going to have going on as a student. So it says Trump has wielded federal funds as a negotiating tool for universities. So like what Trump has been doing, or the Trump administration / Department of Education, what they have been doing is that they have been taking research funding, because Stanford lost their research funding as well, if I'm not mistaken, from the Chronicle Higher Education. It's crazy, Chronicle Higher Education did not have this in more detail, but it's okay. Yeah. Because the research he's taking research funding from top universities in the United States. So by that happening, he's saying that they're too liberal. He's saying that these schools are too liberal, insisting that they submit to curriculum, enrollment, and other changes. Forcing them to change. If you want your research funding back, you have to change everything that we do not like, pretty much. The Republican administration has also decreased or placed holds on spending for university research as part of wider budget cuts since taking office in January. Why is this important? Once again, because if you are a student coming in, you probably don't, your freshman, sophomore year, this probably don't matter to you. Granted, if you're in college. But if you are somebody who's going into your junior, senior year, or going into like a graduate level for sure. But like junior, senior year, depending on the prestige of your school, gosh, you're not going to be able to do research. And you're not going to really get the money that you're paying for your school, if that makes sense. So if let's just say you want to do something innovative and you want to do research on it, or as far as like traveling, studying abroad. Sometimes some schools charge, sometimes schools make it available for students to go travel abroad, and it doesn't cost much at all. But I do know you pay some, but sometimes you don't pay, but every school is different. All these factors contribute into research funding, traveling abroad, the research, just research in general. Sometimes research, like I say, it requires equipment. When equipment breaks, when things we take for granted that a school might offer, they can't offer it no more, because while your school research funding has been cut. Because when it's funding, it's everything that applies to what? Research. So let's keep going. Stanford, located just south of San Francisco, with a sum of 18,000 staff, said it was making a $140 million reduction in the general funds budget for the upcoming year. Now they said all these people are supposed to be gone by the ones who are the ones who are being terminated. They could be gone by end of September. It says this is the product of a challenging fiscal environment shaped in large part by federal policy changes affecting higher education. Stanford President Stanford President John Levin and Provost Jenny Martinez said in a joint statement. I wonder is there an interview on this? Let's see. I'm gonna go on YouTube and see if there's an interview on this real quick. Nobody posted it just yet, so let me see. I think my eyelashes are touching my glasses, guys. That's crazy. Let's see. Stanford. Sure. Stanford. I mean, all these pop-ups. Stanford. Let's see right quick. There actually is a 2-minute video. So I'm gonna play that. Let's play that. Because we can't wait for one day y'all can see that. That rhymes.
Federal funding cuts take hold at Stanford University. Tonight, we have a look at the impact. Good evening, I'm Anna Dates.
And I'm Dan Ashley. Thanks for joining us. The loss of federal funding is resulting in layoffs affecting more than 300 Stanford employees.
The university says federal policy changes will cost Stanford $140 million, and this could be just the beginning.
That's right. ABC 7 News reporter Suzanne Font has a look at what's at risk.
Hundreds of Stanford University employees will be out of a job this fall. The university made the official announcement on this Tuesday. The layoffs take effect September 30th. 363 positions will be impacted, but we still don't know which departments will be affected. Stanford's president and provost stated in a letter to faculty and staff last Thursday, quote, "The university is making a $140 million reduction in the general funds budget for the upcoming year. This is a product of a challenging fiscal environment shaped in large by federal policy changes affecting higher education. The federal government has slashed millions of dollars in research grants and higher education funding. Under President Trump, the government is also increasing the tax on the university's endowment." Julian Vogel is an assistant professor of finance at San Jose State University.
Stanford has a very large endowment.
As of August last year, Stanford University's endowment was at $37.6 billion. President Trump's bill passed by the House in May proposes a 21% tax on some university endowments. Stanford's current endowment tax rate is 1.4%, according to the Stanford Daily Student newspaper. If that proposal becomes law, the endowment tax would cost the university about $750 million a year.
So that is significant, and of course this creates a huge additional financial burden for Stanford.
Some ask why Stanford University couldn't avoid layoffs by tapping into its endowment. An economics professor at Santa Clara University explains.
Even though these universities like Stanford and Harvard and Brown have large endowments, most of these funds are restricted to certain purposes. So they don't have a great deal of flexibility. And the other thing is that much of their assets would be difficult to liquidate quickly and use for operating expenses.
Economic experts say as troubling as these layoffs are, it's necessary for Stanford to make the cuts.
The changes in federal regulations certainly have played a role in this, but there are other factors at play.
In San Francisco, Suzanne Fawn, ABC.
Okay. So, sounds like, because I heard them say something along the lines of, we don't know what programs. We don't know like what if it's instructors. We don't know departments. That's what they said, departments. We don't know what departments are going to be affected. But general, it's in the name itself, general. And so they're trying to, I feel like there was some, if I'm reacting to it a little bit, I feel like there was some excuses in there a little bit by that guy. He was speaking, he was a professor or somebody who works at Santa Carla University, saying that those funds are strictly for certain things that can't be used for. Guys, one thing I learned, like one thing we can learn from the past when we was talking about that university president, the University of Florida president, not the current one, but Ben Sass, I think is his name. When we were talking about Ben Sass, and Ben Sass was using funds that were supposedly for, like, bringing in donors, like Christmas parties and $38,000 sushi and stuff. They can use them funds for whatever they want to. I don't care what they say. They can use them for what they want. If they want to take that endowment fund and use it for keeping a justifiable reason to keep their employees on board, if they really need the employees, they can do that. But saying that they can't and they just have to lay people off is more in their favor, most likely, because it's a business. It's always going to be more likely in their favor. Unless we get a person from Stanford who could tell us. But we all remember when Ben Sass went crazy, right? He's not there no more for a reason, but remember he went crazy at the University of Florida. That man was going crazy on spending. So, as I go back to the story, no, not that one. I'm going to try to see if I can find another one, because I always pick bits and pieces of information. Job cuts and difficult actions. And then it said a filing by Stanford. Stop scrolling. A filing by Stanford with the California state government said 363 employees would be impacted by the layoffs. All that's just ouch. So a filing by Stanford with the California state government said 363 employees would be impacted by layoffs. I wonder, is it going to be, they said state government in there. I wonder, is it going to be majority state government employees? Will it be, like, it could be state government. It could be people who are funded under like grants and stuff. And like if you thought you was safe because you work at a state job, like I always say, no job is really safe at this point in life. No job is really safe. So let's see if we can find us another story. We got that one. That was pretty good because it's Stanford. But you would think working at such a big school like Stanford, like working at Stanford is like working at a Fortune, as I like to say, a Fortune 500 company, because those companies, usually you're safe when you work at a big company like that. Like they're going to last through good times and worse times. But there's always people who have to go. Okay, I'm going to close out because that browser's not working. There's always people who just don't make the cut in these situations, which is not good. And so you hate that people got to lose their jobs, especially if you're doing your job real good. But it's always going to be, I'm not saying who I know is going to happen to. I can't say if it's going to be the academic advisors, if it's going to be professors. We don't know that yet. But to say that they're about to fire, what is it? What's that number? 363 positions? I don't know if that's a big deal at their school, but that's a good few people. It's a good few people. Hopefully they can do this right. Hopefully when they get terminated, they send them off with a little care package. They've been doing that. So I just wanted to bring that up. I felt like Stanford University, they are such a big school, but as I said, schools that are big and thought they were going to be good through this madness, they didn't prep for it. It's just amazing how they didn't prep for this. Like, they didn't see this coming. That's why I'm really like, I didn't see this coming. Y'all really didn't see this coming. They really didn't see this coming. Which leads us into the next one. 27.5 million. What's good, G? 27.5 million cut. I said million cut. $27.5 million cut from the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. So obviously we just talked about Stanford, but this is not as. So Stanford has $140 million budget reduction. Nebraska, Lincoln, which is, everybody know this school as like, they're like a N. They're like that university they're in. Their logo is literally a big old N, like kind of reddish. But they're having their own problems over there as usual. Like if you was a school, let me say this: if you are a school that has a pretty good football, what else gonna say? Football, any sports program, they're being hit. And then if you just got a lot of money, you're being hit. If you was a small fish in this time, it's probably a good time to be a small fish school because you're not being targeted. What I'm trying to see though is where is this money going? Because they want to make it more. Like I said, I didn't know this. Didn't know this was a thing. But they're saying like these schools like Stanford, Columbia, Harvard, or top-notch liberal schools. They're saying that these schools are too liberal. I didn't know a school was too liberal. I didn't know that can happen. Didn't know that was a thing. Didn't really cross my mind either. So they have to change curriculum. That means throwing out DEI. That means gender. What's that word? Informative gender courses. Throwing out anything that's really going against what is going on in today's time. You have to throw it out. And so if you're teaching it, it's funny because I definitely took like four DEI classes, and I'm actually wondering if I tried to transfer, would they not, or would they be accepted? That's kind of a good question, right? If I really wanted to transfer just for some reason in graduate school, yes. You know, some people know this. You could transfer in graduate school, and so if I decided to do that, would they be taken? I just would want to test that and see what would happen. And so, yeah, let's talk about University Nebraska Lincoln, because they said they must cut 27.5 million this year. Who's gonna be affected? What's gonna be affected? How it's gonna be affected? I don't even know what a DEI course is. Exactly, G. Well, G, we can talk about this real quick before we talk about University of Nebraska Lincoln. So, from what I recall in my DEI course, it was pretty much trying to tell me that if like the best example we used in class was like somebody standing on them cuts are because of the new taxes. Yeah, that's part of it. We had mentioned that's part of it. The endowment tax cut, the tax endowments or endowment tax, that's definitely hitting them too. And then holding the research funding. Because when schools, I don't know how their budget structure is set up, but Trump is also holding research funding from top schools. So apparently when he take the research funding, schools are like, we don't have enough money to cover research. That's essentially what they're saying, because they're like, oh, he took our research funding, so now we got to lay people off on top of tax cuts. And then they budgets, we already know, G, that these budgets are busted because they're panicking, they're messing up. Like, if you're doing that as soon as he touches it just a little bit, your budgets were already messed up. Your budgets were barely making it as long as no change happened. When change happened, these budgets got messed up all of a sudden. So, which is not good, because when change happened, you should be able to keep thriving and just, probably not thriving, but, as you're finding your way as a school or person, you should just be still making it. It shouldn't be no craziness. They just don't want to have to cover it. Exactly. And that's bad, because it's like, I'm pretty sure some schools don't have that, like 140, I don't know exactly how much he's holding from Stanford, but they have that money. It's because these numbers are so big. Like the 25 million and the 50 million. But it's funny because I know. I already know. Like when they're building these stadiums, that's money specifically donated to them from probably donors and stuff. And sometimes, in most cases, it's probably not even donated from donors. Like it's probably money they just saved up over the years. But let them tell it. They're gonna say, "Oh, that money is specifically for this and that and that and this." You let them tell it. That's what they're gonna say. And so it was actually so DEI, a DEI course is to get on that. Like I said before, G. For one, I think it was embarrassing. 25 million wouldn't matter to Stanford, but 150 would put a dent in some funds. Yes. 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 150. Actually, he held 100, I think. I don't think he was in here, G. He held. They're saying they cited $140 million budget reduction driven by higher federal endowment tax rates. I wish they would show us, but that's another part. Like we don't get to see the numbers. We're just going off of like, yeah, we got to cut our budget by $140 million. So when I hear you got a reduction, it's pretty much I got to shrink my budget. I got to cut back. That's the word I use, cut back on some stuff. I got to, shrink certain departments. I have to, if I was putting too much money, just saying, for example, if we're putting too much money in academic advising, we're going to take away academic advising a little bit. Instead of giving them, 140 million, instead of giving academic advising, like instead of spending 20 million, I don't know, no school probably spend 20 million on academic advising, but they probably do. But to say like, oh, 20 million academic advising, let's cut it down to like 5 million. So stuff like that. And then G is commenting, well, they have to cover it or let the people go in addition to planning for taxes. So I get why they're doing it. Planning for them taxes. So I don't understand taxes fully. I don't really. Not fully. But I understand a little bit about taxes. But apparently, they just going to be taxed more. That's what it seems like, right, G? You heard Yale got a $230 million bill coming. Yale, a $230 million bill coming. Let me see. That's why we got Google. Let me see real quick. I ain't done with that DEI course because I was trying to figure out what a DEI course would look like too. I was trying to figure that out. Tax bill, something like that. Let me see. Yale, 230. You said million. Let's see. I didn't hear about this one. Let me see. I don't see it. I see right here. Well, it's old news. I don't see no new news on Yale, G. I just see Yale. I type in Yale. You said a tax bill. Is it Yale? It's like a tax bill, you said? Okay, I see something with update on tax legislation. A significant recent development regarding Yale financial obligations is the endowment tax included in recently passed legislation. Yeah, because all these schools, like, once they pass that one big beautiful bill, if we go back to that one big beautiful bill, everybody has to abide by that new tax endowment. And let's try Yale endowment tax according to Yale. Because Yale, well, not Yale, all schools, if you make a certain amount of money in endowment, or if you have a certain amount of money in your endowments, you're being taxed on it. Like, it was something along the lines, it's in that one big beautiful bill, if I'm not mistaken. If they had a certain amount of money in it, and they're taxed on it. They're being taxed on it. Why are they being taxed on it? I don't know. Because I don't know what. I guess that just gives more money toward the federal government. But I think this is it right here. It's on Yale University website by the president. This was July 3rd, a little over a month ago. And then it says an endowment tax of 8% on universities like Yale, a dramatic increase from the current 1.4 tax, the 1.4% tax. Like right there. Like I said, I don't know how the tax thing goes is exactly on this, but all I know is a 1.4% tax to 1.4% tax, going from 1.4 to 8%. That's a huge hike. And granted, he didn't mention doing that much. I don't think he even put that exactly. Going from 1.4% to 8 puts a dent in your budget. That is true. That does put a dent in it. Tell me about it. See your stock go down 8%, especially in one day. It's gonna be a long day. Or if it's even worse when you see a stock go down. This coming not financial advisor. You see a stock going down like 2% a day or something. Oh, that makes you sick right there. So now you also have to plan for research funding cuts too over some. Yeah, you do. And so that's why it should have been like, that's why they cutting people. Yeah, that's why they cutting people. Yeah, that's why they cutting people. One of the reasons. Like, they still could have planned for this though. Like, they knew he was coming. That's my idea of it. They knew he was coming, G. It was obvious like he was coming. Once, let's go back in time. Can they cover it? Yes, but is it a lot to cover? Is it a lot to cover? Yeah, because everybody getting paid too much. Don't forget the presidents make a lot of money. Don't forget they gotta pay not really, because what's a DEI course? Gee, what you keep going back to DEI now? You running back to DEI course. I was talking about we talking about this tax endowment. And like they're gonna let the people go, but they're not gonna cut once again, why they not cutting the exec salaries? The execs and the presidents. They can take a pay cut until this all gets cleared up. They can take the pay cuts. Honestly, if the millions of dollars, I'm saying they didn't think it was coming because it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but they shouldn't have thought that. If the man beat the odds every time, Trump has beat odds. They didn't think he was going to get, look, when Trump got past all the Republican candidates to run for president, that should have been a sign. That should have been a sign. When he beat every Republican candidate, that should have been a sign. Right there. That was a clear indicator. He's coming. Everything he says, we're this young, and I am, how old am I? I had to think about it. I'm this young, 26, youngish, and I did my homework. Everything the man said, look, from the moment he been in the business world or whatever, Trump has done everything he said. From the time he been on earth, when he was able to do what he want, he has done everything he said. If you thought he wasn't going to, and then he was doing it in the first term. It wasn't that long ago. History repeats. What made them think he wasn't going to finish it off and get to do it and then he knows what he's doing this time around. When I talk to people who are more savvy in this area, he knows what he's doing this time around. So people really thought this wasn't going to go through? My job is paying me millions of dollars. A president. He said Trump is a liar. Yes, he is. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Some things, everybody. Yeah. He's politician trait. It's a politician trait, right? But where I was going, G. I forgot. Hit a brain wall. But I seen you was commenting. They said the part they didn't plan for is people still listening to him. Yeah, people still listening to him. And then it just still though, like, if you can cut the amount of money that Stanford is about to cut, Nebraska is about to cut, the money they're cutting, they can easily cut back on these execs' salaries. I'm not saying shrink the salary to what I believe. No, I'm just saying shrink the salaries to where you can keep your staff. Like, honestly, people who might not know that they might have to get rid of good people. They might not be getting rid of good people, but they might have to get rid of people who actually help build the school, keep the school running pretty good, because they're trying to keep their pockets bigger. And it's not right, essentially, because this could be like, if we go look at the salaries are crazy in higher education. They're not even at all. It's a bit, it's like, it's crazy. I don't know how to put a word on it. I said higher education like an oligarchy. You got the people at the top making all the money, as any structure, I guess. But you got all the people at the money, people all at the top making all the money, literally all the money. If you are an exec in higher education, you make all the money. It's not ever going to be a case when you are like academic advisor, or professors make good money too, depending on them. But it's just crazy to see so much money stacked across, like we talk about it in school, in graduate school, that you got the athletic directors, you have the execs, like these people who so-called helping with, how are you increasing, prime example, how are you a vice president of enrollment management, right? Prime example, you're a vice president of enrollment management, and enrollment has been down. Like, why are you making almost, in some cases, why are you making $500,000 to $600,000 and your enrollment has been down? That's the stuff I am talking about. Like, that doesn't make sense. As a business owner, would I pay somebody $500,000 to run my software, and my software is one of the worst ones out there? We've been losing money off the software. It seems like it's always got glitches and errors and whatever going on with my software. But I'm paying my software person $500,000 a year. That makes no sense. I ain't even the business guru. It's just common sense. So G said, LOL, Trump is a liar. The part they didn't plan for is people listening to him, like Mike in the house. They get paid, but I don't think it equals 140 million. It adds up. Like we say, it adds up. You think about like how they're paying, like for example, UGA pays Kirby Smart $13 million. Now it's not close to 140 million, but when you add on the other parts of the salaries there are there in the institution, you know, just for example, you know, it adds up pretty quick. 2 million here, another 5 million there, another 7 million here. Not saying they're making that. I'm just saying, like, it adds up with people. Like, the money is gonna add up. And so G also said, I'm also sure they do that for public outcry support as well. Like business passing tariffs to the U.S., they could absorb, but they want the people to feel it too, so that the people could pressure politicians to change. There are plenty of business who have crappy software that are simply to ingrain that people still use them. Well, you also have to take into account contracts. They have with the execs. In the contract they have with the execs. Execs, shebets, the lets, for bets. You know. There's a problem in higher education with it. It's one of the most controversial things I talk about, of course, because it seems, you know, it's always excuses with them. They don't take accountability in higher education. That's one of the problems. It's kind of similar to what's going on now with the country, but, and you know, that's just no accountability. Hello, okay. Bus rhymes, hello. They just don't take accountability. Like, all this is happening at these universities all of a sudden. You don't think it's weird, G, that these schools are just, you don't think it's weird that these universities and stuff are panicking? You don't think it's weird that they're just, so many of them are just stressing for money? On top of, like you said, that's a factor in everything. Enrollment has been down. Yeah, they don't, but I'm sure they do it on purpose. What you mean do it on purpose? Like they want the universities do this on purpose so they can suffer? That's what you're saying? You better not slow up your typing now. Stanford wants the local community to feel it. So you're saying, okay, I see, I get you. You're saying, okay, so they get the public support. Oh, that's a higher level of thinking right there. Okay. I see. I can see that. I like that perspective. So G is saying, guys, that I'm gonna say it out loud in case if it doesn't pop up when you're watching the live stream back, or if you don't catch it, if you catch this part when you skim through the video of this live stream, if you skim through it. G is saying that schools are, the perspective G said, schools are letting the community feel it. People getting their job, people at universities, higher education specifically. Universities are being laid off, not universities being laid off. People at universities are being laid off because it lets people, I guess, it's gonna let people be aware, and then it's gonna let people, like, it's gonna force people to support what's going on, like try to go against what's going on in the current administration. So it's a very good tactic. I like that a little bit. So right here, G also said, I'm sure that's why Yale was talking about the new tax bill so that people could understand how big of an impact it would have. I'm saying businesses do the same thing, like with the tariffs and raising prices. Yeah, because Google, let me not say that, but not Google, but definitely Microsoft has been laying off people, right? Because of these tariffs, if I'm not mistaken. I keep saying Google, Microsoft. Microsoft has, and plenty of other companies, right? But I know Microsoft has been a big one. I think Microsoft laid off, I'm not gonna say the number, but let me look it up. Microsoft laid off about, on the sidebar, all my Google searches are not up here. Then I'm gonna get back on a DEI course because we get into taxes and all this, and I am not a tax person. That's what interviews are for. Microsoft. Layoffs. Yeah. What has they been doing? 40 or more. Layoff. Microsoft layoffs. I'm gonna say 2025. So they said right here, Microsoft cuts 40 more jobs, but I don't know. Yeah, I think. Let me see real quick. I believe it's more than that. They were laying off a lot of people earlier this year. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to see. I know it's a number, and they got a good public relations team because it is not popping up. All right, according to CNBC, Microsoft back in July 2nd, 2025. Microsoft laying off about 9,000 employees in its latest round. Come on. So I guess you could say, like, you gonna have that's 9,000 people who probably gonna be paying attention to what's going on now in the economy, or because most people don't pay attention. This is where education, we talk about higher education. Like and subscribe. This is where we talk about why you should go to college. And if you can't afford to go to college, this is why you need to go to a 2-year and bridge to a 4-year. Most people just go at that. Most people just go down with their. Most people just do this in life. This is what people do in life. And then they look up. That's why it's a movie called Look Up. Like Look Up. It's a movie called Look Up. People go down like this. And the new way of people looking down is, I'm going to use my gaming controller as an example. But the new way of people looking down is scrolling on their phone. So you get ideas, technology. Like, that's the new way of looking down. Like, if I go anywhere, yeah, Look Up is a crazy movie, but so interesting, right? And so we get it, right? People don't look up. People just go to work, go home, and scroll on their phone. Go to work, go home, and do something, right? They don't want to hear nothing about the news. It's people like that now. They don't want to. We live in a time now, G, please jump in. We live in a time now that you can be in your own world, right? You can tell YouTube what you want to see. You can tell Instagram what you want to see. You could tell everything what you want to see and what you don't want to see, which is not safe, but yes. So we just live in that time, and these people probably were not paying attention. And then G said, "I do think YouTube censoring the usual." Yeah, G, you be coming hard. You be coming hard, like you be coming like, yeah, da 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 da. You be talking about da 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 da. Like I'm all for it. Hey, I love it. I love it because when I know my comments racking up. But I'm gonna read some of your comments, G, because some of them do be getting retracted. And so, yeah, G said it doesn't matter until it affects them. Because a lot of people, not to get into the politics, but a lot of people really didn't understand, everything that they led into what's happening today. A lot of people don't understand. And they still probably don't understand. They just only understand one part of the spectrum, like people getting fired, or they got laid off. That's one part they only understand. And like, before I get back into the DEI course, so I'm gonna talk about the DEI. What's a DEI course? And then I'm gonna talk about we're gonna get back into the university. What's it called? University of Nebraska link, and then we're gonna jump back into that. And so I'll just write down some notes real quick. Great conversation, G. So G said people don't care unless it affect them. I do, but I think YouTube censoring LOL, the usual. People still don't understand, especially things like tariffs and taxes. Yes, I didn't know what a tariff was until Trump brought it up. Until he brought it up as his campaign, and I still was having a hard time with it, because it probably was in my econ class, to be honest. I took like 2 of them. It probably was in there. I took 1. I took 1 econ. And so it probably was in there, but all I have to do, if I really want to go find it, I just need to go watch. I need to go back and dig in some historical context, websites or books or whatever. But definitely, I didn't even know what a tariff was until he brought it up. But I do know one thing, we're going to feel it. It's going to be a trickle effect for sure. I've been listening to some places, people, of course, who are finance savvy. I think, what's the word, like CNBC and them, they, who they go to as professionals, like Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett hasn't said much, I don't think, about these either. I just know one thing what Warren Buffett did. He put money on the side. Anytime one of the world's greatest investors put money on the side and says, I'm not buying anything, you should be worried. But he doesn't have that type of influence on the market to do that, to make it fearful. So everybody forgets. Then when it happens, he's gonna look like a genius when it happens. I don't know why my screen just got darker, but I'm still here. So the only thing you have to do, the only thing you have to know about tariff is that you paying it. G said the only thing you need to know about tariffs is that you're paying it. Yeah, finna pay it, finna feel it. One of the reasons why I had got a new car. When he said tariff, I understood that. I understood it could drive up the price of a vehicle. All that tariff money is coming from U.S. businesses that are importing goods from said country, with tariff, and they pass it on to the consumer. Yep. That's what I've been seeing. So if it came from another country, it got to be upcharged before it comes into the United States. So if it comes from another country, you got to pay your tax, pretty much. That country has to pay its tax before it gets here. So then the country, what they're going to have to do so they can make a profit, they got to jack it up. And then, because they got to pay us. And so I'm saying that right? We got to, we charging them. The U.S. is charging them. So you got U.S. How do this? I don't even got no board behind me. My board up there. But yeah. U.S. I'm the U.S. G, you're the other country. G wants to bring his product over here. So I'm like, G, give me 15%. 15% on that. 15%. No, the U.S. businesses pay the tariff for importing it. The U.S. business pay the the U.S. business pay the tariff for importing it. So the U.S. got to pay it to come in. The country does not pay. Misconception. So, got you. So G said, we're paying it as a country. If we want this product to come in, right, G? If we want this product to come in, we have to pay it. Okay. We have to pay it. Wait for it. G helping us right now. Get this tariff understanding. There's been a lot of misinformation on that, damn. They've been making it seem like, yes, import businesses at the port pay the tariff and passes it on to the business who wants to import, who then passes it to us. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense when you said the import. It makes sense. I'm trying to get it here. Yes, we the people or businesses who absorb the costs, most don't pay the tariffs. Yes, we the people or businesses who absorb the costs, most don't pay the tariffs. Dang. Once again, though, I did have the right idea. Them cars, he said, unless cars are made in the United States, you're finna have to pay higher for cars. All I knew, everything was going up. That was my logic, G. I just knew everything was going up. You misread the first one. Which one? The overwhelmingly businesses pass the cost to the consumer. Yeah, I understood that. And then you said misread the first one, but I wrote it. You know you good, G. We learning right now. You are good. But I see you said yes, import businesses at the port pay the tariff and passes it on to the business who wants to import, who then passes it to the U.S. Tariffs are confusing a little bit, though. Like, as I just tell people to think with tariffs, like, because I know they just tricky, man. Like, they literally have a specialist for this stuff, which is crazy. Like, what I told people is, like, you just need to know, like, because people always think I'm a financial expert. I'll tell them real quick I'm not a financial expert. You just need to know what's going up. Things are gonna go up. Like I said, I listen to professionals. Things are going up. It's just going up. That's why I said all you have to know is you paying them, not the other country. Exactly, G. Exactly. But it was good that you told me that stuff, though. I like to read it. As you can see, I'm reading it 2 or 3 times because when I read things 2 or 3 times, for one, it's gonna sit in my brain, and then when I come across it again, guys, hopefully fast enough, it's all about seeing things repetitionally. I say repetitionally. Is that a word? It's all about seeing things in repetition. If you don't see it, then you forget it. True statement. Countries don't pay tariffs, kind of a misconception. Countries don't pay tariffs. Countries don't pay tariffs. What? Oh, the people do. Ah, I get it. Countries don't pay tariffs. People do. Common misconception for the regular person. So is that like your slogan to say countries don't pay tariffs? The people pay the tariffs. That's what you're saying, G? That's what you're saying? That's what you're saying? And then we're gonna talk about DEI course because we went on a whole tangent. I still think though, well, we'll get back into that actually. I ain't gonna start that back up. We still gonna get back into that. More specifically, we are the people who are paying. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Get your budgets together. Lock in a car. I said, get you a car. He has been adamant about automotive. You better get you a car before it's too late. Think of it like an additional tax on U.S. consumers. Additional tax. If I hear additional tax, additional pay, tariff, consumer gonna be affected. We already know. Now, what's a DEI course? Gee, we're gonna get there, man. We're gonna get there. But a DEI course though is a DEI course is informing you, essentially brainwashing you to believe that, I don't want to say brainwashing. Brainwashing is like a bad word. I could tell you, but it's not real. I could tell you, but it's not real is all I know. And so DEI course from school is a DEI course. When I took the classes, I didn't know what DEI was personally when I took the course. I think we talked about this a little bit before, G. I know we didn't last long because I was trying to stay away from that topic. But when I first started taking classes at the school that I'm at, I don't want to use their name and taking them, but when I was at that school, the DEI course that we did is pretty much showing you, informing you, and educating you on that people need help in the best way. It's informing you that people need help more than others. Literally, that's what the DEI course was about. It was about a lot of African American in there when I took it, really minorities, but based on the school that I'm at, if anybody listen to graduate school I talk about, but really minorities, how they're at a disadvantage and that why they should have help. Then it went from like them needing help to like dress appearance and like being comfortable, like things you can wear that other people can wear. Like prime example I used to give, like I still can't wear a do-rag, but do-rag is still considered this bad thing because in our community, do-rags are usually dressed up with people looking a certain way, right? But really a do-rag is to keep our hair laid down so we can have waves. Like our hair looks crazy if we don't lay the hair down. It looks crazy. So the do-rag keeps it laid down, looks nice, whatever. And so I was saying, like, when I was in my course, because I didn't think the course was, I really didn't believe in the course. Like, the course was a waste of money. I felt like a DEI course because I was raised and born on like fair and not fair. If something is wrong, something is wrong. If something is right, if something is right. We're having this disadvantage that people are not raising their kids. I know that's been a topic. They're letting phones or technology raise their kids. That's really what it's leading down to, if you ask me. That's my perspective of it. Because the fact that my professor thinks I don't listen, like my professor had kind of an assumption because we was talking about things that were related to like the protesting on campus early when it first started happening, when like the Israel, Gaza and all that stuff was happening. So we was having, conversations about it, and people were talking about, how they don't like the military, how they don't like the flag, how they don't like this. And everybody had good point of views, bad point of views. Some people was balanced. It was crazy. And so the thing about all of it, because I talked to my professor at the class, and so what I talked to my professor about, because my professor, it kind of slightly irritated me, G, because my professor thought I didn't listen to other people, which is crazy, because I always listen to other people. Like, he just gave me a heads up, like, hear them out. And I'm like, don't you supposed to hear people out? Like, I just listened to G tell me about tariffs. Yeah, I still have my mindset and belief on the tariffs, like, it's not like I have a deep mindset. Oh, no, better yet, me and G just went back and forth about what we just talked about, G, about the Stanford pay and what they can do to restructure the pay better. G gave their perspective, his perspective. I gave my perspective. I listen. And so you just supposed to do that. You don't supposed to just tune out one, like, I don't hear you, I hear my perspective. Like, but we have gotten to that time. I missed that part, apparently, in life, because of technology. People are in those times where they don't want to hear nobody else's perspective. And so, which is crazy, because it's crazy. I don't know. It's just crazy because, yeah, I don't know, at my previous school, my 2-year, my 4-year, in undergraduate, we didn't have that problem. Like, we were forced to listen to everybody else's perspectives and how to be respectful. So it was kind of crazy that that's what it was pretty much reteaching me. I feel like I didn't need to learn that. Like, me personally, I didn't need to learn that. Like, and then I am a strong believer. You just need to go ahead and you just need to go get it, which is why I put that on one of the thumbnails. You just need to go get it. It's not something everybody wants to hear, but it's really the truth. You just really have to go get it. Like, if you want to go to a 2-year, or if you want to go to college, you can go to college. If you want to save money in college, you can save money in college. If it's going back to the simple of, if you listen to what somebody tells you and you listen to what they say you're limited to, then you're limited to that. That's your choice. You decided to believe them. If somebody told me that the stock market was rigged, disclaimer, not financial advisor. If somebody told me the stock market was rigged, I'm not gonna listen to them. I'm gonna listen, but I'm gonna, like, go find out. Is it really rigged, or is it you just didn't know what you was doing? So G said I had a teacher more than a decade ago say life isn't fair. The system isn't fair, and the system does not care at life is not fair. I'll read that again. I had a teacher more than a decade ago. Life isn't fair. The system isn't fair. And the system does not care at life is not fair. She cooked on that. She cooked. I feel you. I wouldn't want to take a DEI course because I have lived experience, but I could understand that many new higher ed admins don't. You would be surprised. You are right. You are right, G. You are right. You are right. You are right. You would be surprised. We would be surprised, because it's crazy that people don't know how to deal with conflict situations. I gotta tell a story. You just made me think of that. You just made me think of that real quick. I'm gonna read your last comment, then I'm gonna jump into the Nebraska, because I gotta go to the gym at 7, so we gotta stay on pace. So I told you. G said, I told you before, even at a resource. G, why you be coming at me like that? You come off I told you. You come off like you a parent, G. You come off like a parent. I told you before, even at a resource, I can't even get it out. I told. G, I can't get it out, man. I don't know why. Why is it so funny? All right. I told you. Hold on. I'm getting it. Hold on. All right. I told you before, even at a resource-rich school at Columbia, I sat on boards to do things that, of course, to you and I is like, of course. But sad, a lot of people in power simply don't know. That is true. That is true. You sat on boards to do things that, of course, you and I is like, I get what you're saying though. And then you said right here, it's sad a lot of people in power simply don't know. Cause what I was gonna go to is real quick. So I used to do interviews, G. Not do interviews, but when I used to get interviewed, like a job interview, right? You wanna know what my thought process was? You know, I told you I grew up in like the poverty area, Section 8 housing. You get the gist of it, right? And I seen crackheads early, like middle school. I seen crackheads early. Like, you know, I seen people who was drunks. I seen drunks, met drunks. I seen men beat women. I'm pretty sure everybody has at some point, right? I seen that early. And so I seen that. I seen men beat women. I seen crackheads. I seen drunks. I seen we're kids my age have weapons, like firearm weapons, you know, like, but not for hunting. My keyboard's being hacked a little. But you get the gist of it, right? So when I used to get asked in an interview, this is how real, and this is why I don't like interviews, G. This is why I don't like job interviews. Now, everybody got their opinion, but this is why I don't like job interviews. They're asking me in a job interview, have you ever met, like, they phrase it to where, like, have you ever had to deal with a parent or guardian that might be, you know, how you put that word? Have you ever dealt with families or customers that are like, they can be in those categories I said, right? They can be like a little more, this is not simple to answer. Have you ever dealt with someone? And so not DEI, but have you ever dealt with someone that's they do say it like, you know, you be doing interviews. Have you ever dealt with someone that's frustrated, angry or something? Best word I can use right now. And I knew what they were getting at. I'm like 20, 21. I know what you're asking me, but I'm like, yeah, the answer is so easy to answer because I'm like, I want to say this. This is what I want to say in the interview. I want to say what I just said to you, G. I want to say, yeah, I've seen people who have like crazy anger problems, like people who can go from 0 to 100 quick, like anger, because in those communities, kids, parents, they go like, you know, why you staring at me, G? What you looking at, G? Like, even if you just look at them, because people don't like being looked at in those communities. You can't look at them. If you stare at them, you're going to be in a fight. So people don't have that common sense to know, like, don't look at them. People don't have common sense to know, like, you can't be intelligent around them. You see, in those type of communities, you can't. Being intelligent is like threatening. It's not safe. And so they don't know that. Like you said, people in power who work these jobs, a person of difficulty. Bam, a person of difficulty, yes. Like, it happens so much, like you said, in higher ed. You got some parents, like, at least when I'm working at a 2-year college, I will say you're going to see more of that. If you go like, this is when I started finding speaking on behalf. This is when I started finding speaking on behalf, the difference. People who go straight to universities, like bigger universities. I'm gonna just say universities. Y'all all the same. G. Y'all all the same. I don't care what you all, your universities are all the same. When you go to a university, you gonna have some people in there that are like from those communities, granted, but the majority of people at universities come from good backgrounds. It's either middle class or high income backgrounds. I don't care what nobody say. You're gonna have a few of them that are from communities. Don't get me wrong, but majority come from good backgrounds. Why am I saying that? Because those good backgrounds are the same ones who are going to step into jobs in the workforce. LOL, we are not all this. Universities are all the same in this conversation right now. Yes, they are. And so you're going to have those same ones who go and work in the workforce. And then when they're working, they're scared to death because what? They never seen nobody like that ever in their life. Because it has been cut off from them their whole life. It is terrible that when people think that it is terrible that when, like you said, G, that people think that you're not from that background. People have thought like me and you, because I remember you saying somebody, G. People like me and you, G, in relation, we can relate, that people think because you change your life, you went and strive for something, that you're not from that background. That is the biggest assumption. True hyper-aggressive people can be scary when you have never met them before. Exactly. And people think that, like, it doesn't scare me, right? But people really think, like, oh, no, you're not from there. People think I went to, like, if I talk to anybody from the city that I'm from, like, I could be up here, right, in Atlanta, or I could be in another part of Georgia. I'm going to see somebody from where I'm from. And then if I tell them what, I always let them guess. I say, what high school you think I went to? And then, then they be like, oh, I thought you went to this high school, which is like a high school that's on the other side of town that's really good, And because the high school I went to had a bad reputation at the time, for people. And so you can imagine the frustration I went through. I never had a mall job. And this came from people later in life, of course, later in years. People in years later say, I barely see people from that high school that you went to. Like, I never seen people at my high school, now that I think about it, when I graduated from there around the time when we were younger. Some of them did. I'm not going to say everybody didn't, but certain jobs you wasn't getting if you had that high school on your resume, which is interesting. Unless you knew somebody. We don't know that, though, until one of my people later, who eventually, they hire people, whatever, and they was like, yeah, my time working there in the mall, we didn't really hire many people from that area, which is crazy. But let's get back to G. G said, true hyper-aggressive people can be scary if you have never met them. And then G said, well, when you grew up in it, it shouldn't at this point. It shouldn't. And then G said, well, they assume you are not from the riffraff. Is that such a bad thing? They assume you are not from the riffraff. Is that such a bad thing? It's no, it's not a bad thing, G. It's not a bad thing when people assume that you're when people believe or when people think I'm not from riffraff. It's not a bad thing, but it's a bad thing when people assume. It lets them know, like I'm gonna say it helped me read people a lot better. I can read a lot of people. Like, I can tell, like, I don't know if that's a great trait to have. I can tell you people who would never steal something. I should have been in law enforcement. I can tell people who would not do something until they show a side of them where they're having, like, temper tantrums, or they have an outburst, like they can't control their emotions. You can tell people who just won't do something. Like, unless you push them to the edge. It's like, I can't explain it really. You just have to really have it. I can just tell people who are like, you need to watch them, or you need to have people like, you don't need to watch them, they won't do nothing. You just know people. You just gotta know and read people. And so, but it's not an easy trait to learn, because everybody has that one thing that would trigger them. Everybody has that one thing that would trigger them. It's always that one. It's always that one thing. Never touch nobody's stuff. No matter how good you think you know them, never touch their stuff. Work or anything. Never touch their stuff. Never touch their stuff. Prime example, never touch their stuff. Never touch their stuff. And so G said, I have heard that before, but not purposeful exclusion because of what school I went to, but how did you do that when you're from? But how did you? What you mean on that last part, G? I'm reading that you have heard that before, and then you said right here, but how did you do that when you're from there? I'm trying to figure out that last part. Or how did I know that and I'm from there? I'm trying to figure out that last little bit. Then G said, I have given a lot of passes because I understand that they just ain't from that world. Right. That's a great trait to have, G. I'm like that. I'm getting like that now. But it gets a little frustrating sometimes. But I'm getting it now. And so G says, so I spent a lot of time educating people, at least in college and second high school. Okay. And then G said, I have had people ask me, how did I do the things that I have done to be from where I am from? And to growth. I'm gonna say growth, and like you just, it's good. And I don't know what your answer gonna be, G. I know growth is in there, but I don't know what you might say. I went to 2 very different high schools. Right. And I'll tell anybody, we can't put in words how a person like G or me or anybody from I like that word you use, G, riffraff, or anybody from the riffraff community has gotten where they gotten. Because as I told people, it's very good that people be educated, because it helps people see things a lot different. It just helps them. Going back to like you said, G, it just helps them. If somebody who grew up completely different, like in a better community, grew up with somebody riffraff, they're so humble and well balanced that it's not even funny. It helps them see everything differently. Everything. Because there are different worlds in this country. There are different worlds in the United States. There are different worlds. And so, very interesting. And then G said, well, they were asking me, how did someone like you from somewhere like that do something like go to Columbia University and stuff like that? Exactly. Like, how do you go from like that riffraff to an Ivy League? And most people, and the bad part about it, like we talked about, I think 2 days ago when I first jumped back on the live stream Monday, people don't even know you went to Ivy. If you're from the riffraff community, people don't even know what an Ivy League is. You know, they just think you went to university. And then somebody said like, huh, that young man went where? They wouldn't even know you went to one of the most prestigious institutions in the United States. You know, like, respectfully, right? So they just don't think about that. And so now we're gonna get into where we at. Oh, we good. So, because I don't think the University of Nebraska is gonna take long, but our last segment, G, is about AI, and that's gonna take long. That's gonna be good. So I probably won't spend as much on University of Nebraska. It's similar to Stanford, and so let's keep going. But remember, started a 2-year, bridge to 4-year. 2 years. This ain't 2 year, but 2 years over 4 years, man. 2 years over 4 years. Then go to a 4-year. Then, you know, and then once you done with your bachelor's, if you want to go Ivy for graduate school, then you go to Ivies. Then you go to Ivy League, you know. Other than that, don't go to no Ivy League. JK. But 2 years over 4 years, though. For sure. So right here we got University of Nebraska-Lincoln says it must cut $27.5 million this year. The University of Nebraska-Lincoln would have to cut $27.5 million this year. Chancellor Rodney Bennett announced Monday. I'm just looking at something real quick. This is my first time looking at it too, guys. it says right here that he said the budget cutting process will include reviewing academic programs for potential elimination or mergers, as well as the likely institution of a voluntarily separation program. So G said real quick while I'm reading that. G said 2 year over 4 year unless it's an Ivy or they paying you to go, LOL. That's true. If they are paying you to go to an Ivy, you know, or oh yeah. 2 year over 4 year, unless an Ivy is paying you to go. Or the university is paying you to go. If you got free money, once again, I don't know why you're watching this channel if you got free money. But unless you just like to chill with me and G and talk, because I don't know how long I'm gonna have G. G might say, well, it ain't going where I thought it was going, so I gotta go. I gotta go speaking on behalf. But at the moment, right now we got G, 2 year over 4 year, unless you're getting paid. If that 4 years paying you, that Ivy League is gonna pay you to go to school. Full ride. If they're gonna pay you a full ride. If they're not paying you a full ride, you need the skadoodle. And so like I said before, part is $27.5 million with University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Why am I saying Nebraska-Lincoln? Because there are multiple Nebraskas, guys, literally schools. So I have to say Nebraska-Lincoln. So Nebraska-Lincoln said they were considering cutting they have to cut programs, academic programs. They have to eliminate some or merge some together. So like prime example, you might have psychology, SG, like the roster programs. You might have like a psychology and sociology merged together, for example. Just an example. Probably never will happen, but for example. But they said Nebraska-Lincoln will also extend its current hiring freeze. So if you was trying to get a job at Nebraska-Lincoln, you're not getting one. So they're extending the hiring freeze. They're refilling only positions that are considered essential to university operations. One of the reasons why I like academic advising, because that's essential. You're going to need people to reach out to students, email students, make sure they're getting registered for their schedules. You know, I got to protect my department. You know, I don't work there, but you know, academic advising, you need it. Other stuff, you don't need it. So as you know, so who is this? Who they quoting again? Oh, wow. This is terrible. So same guy, Bennett, he said, as you know, we have reduced our budget several times in recent years. Despite our best efforts to live within our means, our revenue has not kept pace with expenses. I wonder why your revenue has not kept pace with expenses. Why? Because you probably got all those swimming pools. You probably got too many dorms. You probably got too many basketball courts. You probably got all this stuff on campus that you really don't need. Those are expenses. Oh, properly on accounting, those are operating expenses. So you probably label them as operating expenses. So, yeah, I ain't talking about the light bills. I'm not talking about the HVAC, AC that you need. I'm talking about the wants that you wanted. But this is what y'all got to deal with. Bennett said in the email, this is due to a combination of downward trends in state appropriations. If you know, state appropriations are not being applied. So state appropriations are when the state appropriates funds to a particular, either like universities or particular university or school. They can be very selective with it if they want to, but the state. So they haven't been getting state appropriations. And then they say right here, net tuition and campus allocations combined with historically high inflation of healthcare costs, as well as property and liability premiums and utilities. So when they say high inflation of healthcare costs, yeah, we already know. If healthcare is expensive to us as students, it's going to be expensive to who? Us. It's going to be expensive to businesses, of course. Like, it's like a domino effect, right? Like we just talked about with tariffs. If the business is being charged to get the healthcare or whatever, right, then they got to get it for the price they're getting it. Let me boom my hand. They got to get it for the price they're getting it. Then when it gets to the student or parent or guardian, because colleges have healthcare, When it goes to the parent and student, guess what? They got to make a profit off of that. So guess what? They got to upcharge you on prices. But if your school is really trying to help you and they're, we'll take the little not making a profit, you know, and come up short, then boom. But that's just basic business, right? If I get this mouse, you know, showing off my little business skills. If I get this mouse for 10, I'm gonna sell it to you for 30. I want $20 profit. So that's common practice, right? But like I said, they got a lot of other things on that campus that I feel like they shouldn't have not have. Oh, it's almost done already? Yeah, this was very short. I'm glad. So good job, G. We on pace. This was very short. So all right, I'm gonna use my keyboard. Now you got my mouse glitching. What's else important? LOL, schools don't make profit from insurance. It's more about not taking too much of. It's more about not taking. It's LOL, schools don't make profit from insurance. It's more about not taking too much of a loss from a plan or a contract they have with an insurance company. No, they don't make a profit. No, I don't think so. But I was saying like they're dishing out the money. Obviously, they got to make a profit because it's something else I said in there. I believe that was aligned with the healthcare. They said they said not state appropriations, but the net tuition and the campus allocations combined with historically high inflation of healthcare costs, as well as property and liability premiums and utilities. Not saying they make a profit off none of those, because property, as well as property, but liability premiums. What's a liability premium? Hold on, what is that? Lose? That's loose. Why are you telling me that is not loose? G, you said not taking a loss. Is that no loss is spelled LOSS, loss. You said that's loose. That's lose. Not taking too much of a lose from a plan. Right? Lose, right? Lose. That's what you want to say, right? Lose. I'll wait for the comment. What is a liability premium? Meaning. Definitely somewhat. Oh, ain't no way. A liability premium is the amount of money you pay for insurance coverage that protects you against financial losses if you are found responsible for causing injury or damage to others. Oh, okay. That's a lot of that on college campuses. It's a lot of that on college campuses. And so G said, that's what you said at first. I know I misspelled it. You just also mispronounced the LOL. Don't be trying to what's that word, G? Don't be trying to tag me along your bad typing and my bad pronunciations, and then we having a bad combo going. People gonna be looking at us like, man, they just be messing up all kinds of words. So, all right, this sounds pretty interesting right here, G. So, they said right here, Bennett again says that our goal is for Nebraska Lincoln to emerge from this current process a more streamlined, efficient university that retains the profile and impact of a comprehensive Big Ten land-grant research university, continue its significant return on investment for the state of Nebraska and its taxpayers, and position us to move forward toward aspirational goals, including being considered for readmission to the AAU, Bennett said. I don't know what the AAU is, because I know it ain't talking about AAU like sports, so I don't know what they mean by AAU. Let me see if I can put that all in the chat for y'all. But one of them that did stand out is that I love how schools mentioned that. I'm starting to realize that pattern when I'm reading that schools say they try to make money, like they try to make sure that they're producing. Oh, I gotta take some of it away. They try to take away. Oh wow, hey man, I feel like the words are getting shrunk. smaller. Like they won't let you put that much. Copy and paste up in here. Hold on real quick. Doing two things at once. Start continue. Which word? I stopped at continue, right? University. I started at university. And then it's the rest of it. I swear. All right. Bennett said, that's the last part of it. But when Bennett said this right here, that retain the profile and impact of a comprehensive Big Ten land grant research university. I don't know. When they said Big Ten, I felt like they were saying like sports. I don't know why they had to mention that, but it's probably deeper. It's probably a deeper meaning to the Big Ten conference. I don't know. But I never heard any school mention that we are this conference ever. So I don't know why that matters. But this does matter. Land grant is very important. Research university, highly important. Because to continue its significant return on investment for the state of Nebraska. Because like I said, states, that's why it matters, guys. A lot of times, like having people in certain positions and things. This school produces research. I don't think that really sits on us. Like the school, if this school, imagine if you can still get research from different places. I think G, I need you real quick. When I go to the libraries, right, I think I'm pulling from different schools, but when I'm looking at the professors that do research, when I pull scholarly, I know I probably said weird, when I'm pulling peer-reviewed and scholarly articles from the library at my schoolhouse, it's information all over, but I do feel like certain libraries, like a school library, has different information. Right, you would agree with that, right, G? Like like Columbia Library will have different, like y'all have some of the same things. Okay, you see what I'm going. Sometimes it depends on agreements the school has or partnerships they are a part of. And we talking about the library, right, G? We talking about the library. That's what I'm talking about right now. Because I feel like your school, like Columbia, would have different like articles from my school. I feel like we'll have similar same ones, but I feel like you have more. Yeah, okay, yeah, exactly. So that's when I'm like, guys, that's why it matters a lot that your school is doing research and stuff like that. Because if your schoolhouse is doing research, producing research, or putting that research funding, whatever, right, toward that, that can give you better research to do in school. Or like if you just an alumni like us, you can go back to the schoolhouse and pull articles, because you could be an alumni and still go back and use the schoolhouse information. You just might have to pay a little small like monthly like fee or whatever. But some schools, if you're alumni, that's one of the perks when you go to certain schools. Some schools they just keep it open for you, like because you went to the school. Like you always got access to that schoolhouse. Which is why it's good to make friends with people like G and stuff, you know. So G might can send me an article, an article that I can't get, I might can't get at my schoolhouse that I'm at or the schoolhouses I went to. So G said, I'm sure Columbia has more of those partnerships and agreements for obvious reasons, but there are some really big partnerships that a lot of schools are a part of. So that's why it's good to have like-minded people in the live stream, because they help me not seem crazy when I'm explaining things. So right here, this is like the last part really. These are very important. I see percentages, so I'm definitely finna get mad or happy real quick. So the University of Nebraska, dang man, this AI topic might have to wait till tomorrow, man. because it's 6:15, and I know when we do the college review, that lasts about 10 to 15 minutes when we do a college review, when we review our college. So what we're going to do, we are going to, because by the time I finish this up, it's probably about 6:30. So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to talk about that topic first thing tomorrow. That's going to be our first topic we talk about. Yeah, that's going to be our first topic because I don't like being late. I'm very sharp. I try to be on time. I threw you off track. My bad. No, you good, G. You are good. Trust me, you are good. I can just take it out and then I can change it to riff raff. I can change that to riff because we talked about the riff raff really took up the time. So I'll change it to like riff raff community or something like that, and then we good. You see, we good. And then we'll just talk about that one, the AI one. We'll talk about that one tomorrow. If you here, we'll talk about it tomorrow. So the University of Nebraska system, you got to keep me straight. I have been known to ramble. Got you. If I know you told me now. I got you. 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 The University of Nebraska system. The University of Nebraska system. The University of Nebraska system has sought a 3.5% annual increase in appropriations. It's the charisma. Excuse my charisma, Wayne. Once again, real quick. So the University of Nebraska system has sought a 3.5% annual increase in appropriations, meaning they want more. Essentially, that's a fancy word of saying they want more funds. In appropriations for the 2026 to 2027 and 2027-2028 fiscal years, but the legislature approved only a 0.0625% annual increase. They didn't even get 1%. Who they made mad? They didn't even get 1% in state appropriations. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. Who did y'all make upset? Not even 1%? It's wild. So Nebraska Lincoln increased tuition by 5% this year at all of its campuses. As I said, they're going to keep increasing their tuition, guys. That's no surprise at this point. If you choose to keep going to these universities and falling for their trap until you make them want to like at least keep them stable, and then they might say it's impossible over all the things, everything going on. We can't keep the prices stable. We can't keep the prices low. The prices really ain't been low since a decade ago. That rhymes. The prices ain't really been low since a decade ago. That really rhymes a little bit. So any rappers, any hip hop artists, singers, anybody, if they ever need some lyricals about education, college education to hit the guts, let me know. I can definitely be a ghostwriter for that. So yeah, 5%, guys. Like I said, you might not feel it now, but they upping it by 5% this year. And then when we come back around for 2026 fall, they gonna up it by what? Another probably 5%. Or it might be 2.5, it might be 3%. It's gonna go up. So all campuses in the system are expected to make significant cuts. Yes. And then they say right here, as I thought, they have a medical center. The University of Nebraska Medical Center announced last month that it asked departments to make a 4% across. The University of Nebraska Medical Center announced last month that it asked departments to make a 4% across the board cuts. So they asked the departments a 4% across the board cuts. What's a 4%? Well, not 4%, but what is a across the board cuts? That means what, all the departments or something at the medical center, they cut in 4% across all departments. They cut in 4%. And so the University of Nebraska, everything. Okay. So the University of Nebraska at Kearney and the University of Nebraska Omaha have yet to announce their plans for cuts. Shoot, Nebraska Omaha, I don't know which one Warren Buffett went to. Which one Warren Buffett went to? I know one thing. Warren Warren Buffett finna they finna say, Warren, we need some money. Warren Buffett got 138 billion, probably won't even give you about $1 million. Warren gonna be like, that ain't my problem. He went to the University of Nebraska Lincoln. They better hit up Warren Buffett. Man, they better hit Warren up, man. Warren, we need it. Warren already said he giving all his money to charitable donation and giving his kids 10 million. Essentially, if you do the percentage, like the wealth he said he gonna pass up when he leaves us, whenever that time is. But Warren need to do as many interviews as he can right now. He went to Wharton, like Trump, and Columbia Business as well. Geez, be quiet. You just had to slip that in there. I seen it too, but I was like, I wonder if G gonna say it. I wonder if G gonna say it. Hey, was Warren on campus a lot though? Cool question to ask. Make my day, G. Was Warren Buffett on campus like speaking oftentimes? Like, was he on campus? Give me that inside scoop. Like, were you able to meet him? Because, people walk past Warren Buffett all the time, probably. So, were you able to meet him? Like, please be in the chat still, G. Please be in the chat. Please be in the chat. It look like you in here, like you fell off. Well, while we wait for G to come back, we are going to review a school. What school are we going to review? So if you back, G, no LOL. Hey man, what's the point of being at Columbia if you ain't meet Warren Buffett, G? Didn't get a chance to meet him myself. G, what's the point of being at Columbia if you didn't get to meet Warren Buffett? What are we doing, G? You was there for 4 years, you didn't meet Warren Buffett. You didn't meet Mr. Buffett. What about Charlie Munger? Charlie Munger came up there? I know Charlie, I don't think Charlie went there, but you met Charlie? I met some famous people. I don't want the famous. I want Warren. Where Charlie went? No, LOL, not him either. Charlie went to Harvard and Harvard Law School. Charlie was that guy. Well, famous in certain circles like Warren. Okay. That's dope. That's still dope. You got to meet them. You got to be around that. Like, I bet they make it so simple. G, what's the best financial advice you ever got? Why I do the college, why I pick a college we're going to review. What's the best financial advice you got? I think I told you I had a dinner with the yeah, you did tell me the chief technology officer of Goldman Sachs before. But what was the best advice they told you? Or you feel like not there or just whenever, like the best financial advice that is so like, something that I get and nobody else get. So I can write it down and remember that. Give me some of your $96,000 a year education gems. Come on. I know you got some. Come on, G. Come on. Did we do the University of Maine before? All right, I can do that. It's funny, we were just talking about this, G. So we're going to do Idaho State University. Potatoes. Or just write some notes down. And then change that. All right. So I was writing it down real quick. G, I see I'm in it, so I gotta see what you said. All right. G said, I think the best thing I ever heard was the confirmation that the economic system is a game and it is specifically designed with the idea that some people have to be at the bottom for some to be at the top. This came from a rather rich person who plays the economic game and wins. And they get and they get and they get top C. Give me a few. And they get the top to see it from the top. They get to see it from the top. I'm gonna say they get to see it from the top and don't mind telling us at the bottom. And don't mind telling us at the bottom rather than lying to our faces about everyone can win. I was reading that second one, G. Like, and they get top see it from the top and don't mind. Like, what you mean by that? Like, and they get to see it from the top. I feel like what you were saying. They get to see it from the top and don't mind telling us at the bottom. Since they get to see it at the top and don't mind telling us from the top, like, clear that up for me real quick. And then I'm gonna read your last one real quick. But I'm sure more or less that's simply because he wasn't an architect or game master of some sorts, but a mere player who was allowed into the crowd. And then G said, and they get to see it from the top and don't mind telling us at the bottom that it is what. Oh, okay. And they get to see it from the top and don't mind telling us at the bottom that it is where they belong rather than lying to our faces about everyone can win. So they don't mind telling you at the bottom that is where they belong. Dang, so if you're at the bottom, they're saying that's where you belong. But if you want to get to the top, you can get to the top. That's what you're saying? That's so interesting. The way that flowed, though, that is some different information. I'm copying that. I'm gonna have to write that down, and we'll go back to. The point is there are winners and there are losers, and the game is designed for some people to be at the bottom, or to be losers. I want that, G. I want that to type down and write. I want that as a memory. I want that. And then before we get off the live screen, we got 30. We got a good pace right now. I feel like Idaho ain't gonna take that long. Idaho State University. Let's go ahead and do that so y'all can go. State University tomorrow, Friday. So I hope they don't. Well, we got an article already for tomorrow, so it's not even an article. It's more like a publication to talk about, which is very good. Idaho State University. Never heard of this school at all. Idaho. One of my goals would be in the future, as I get older, to go to Idaho and taste their potatoes to see if they taste better. I'd be like, I went to Idaho. It's like, how you go to Idaho and you not taste the potatoes? Like, are the French fries better? Yeah, French fries are way better. Like, it's disrespect that Idaho State University is not called. Their mascot is not French fries. It should be the Idaho State University. It should be Idaho State University fries or French fries, or the Idaho State University Frenchies or something. It should be something like that. I don't know. Hello, I think I told you I had a friend in Idaho. You did. You know you tell me a lot, G. But you probably, I do remember you telling me Idaho because I was like, who goes to Idaho? I was like, who goes to Idaho? And so G said right here, I learned a lot of other stuff, but I think here, oh, I didn't even see this. I learned other stuff, but I think hearing from a top player is what confirmed a lot of my beliefs about our economic system and make some real change in the world in my own way. LOL, I think I told you I had a friend from Idaho. G, you sound like you in a movie, bro. You sound like you're in a movie. And I love it. Now you gave me something that I can take. I'm going to tell my bro about it when I get to the gym. I learned a lot of other stuff, but I think here, yeah, I got that. Oh, I learned a lot of other stuff. You used that again, but you said make real change in the way I see the world. Yeah. I always thought that, but the game, yeah, it's meant to have winners and losers in it. It's meant to have winners and losers. So I thank you for sharing that with me. Before the live stream is over, LOL, what does that even mean? What mean, G? What mean? What'd I say? What'd I say before I start? My life is a movie, or I'm in the movie. You never heard that before, G? G, not you being green. Don't be green, G. Sound like my girlfriend right now. Don't be green, G. Don't be green. You never heard that before, G? It was a movie. Like, it's like a movie. Like, it's like a movie. This is a movie right now. You are the movie. I'm a movie. But our stories are combined as a movie. I can see it. And so, LOL, I have just not the way you see it. Not just the way I... just not the way I use it. Yeah, when I'm in a moment, man, and my euphoria is taking over, I'm happy. Like, I say things like, I'm not the biggest English person, like metaphors, oxymorons, and all that, but I would say things like, it's like a movie right now. Like, you telling me that is like, that's a mindset shift for me. You know, I always felt that way and thought that way. Like, it's going to be losers in the world, and there's going to be winners. Euphoria, don't make me blush. Yeah, I got words, you know. I got words in my bank a little bit. I just choose to keep them simple sometimes, you know. You don't really get extra money out here for using big words. I learned that in undergraduate. It's actually better when you're marketing and when you're... You can say I had little marketing classes in there, but it's better when you're marketing, having conversations, sales pitch, to use simple terms. Because if I'm doing a sales pitch for the business to somebody like who doesn't know a lick about higher education, but they have the money, keep it in simple terms. People think it's good to use words that the people you're pitching to don't know, which is not good. But Idaho, G, tomorrow, be here. Just be here tomorrow. I need you tomorrow. I'm not even going to hold you. If it's not you, I need somebody tomorrow. Because I really want to talk about that AI. Is AI going to replace history? Don't say nothing yet. Don't say nothing yet about it. Just hold it for tomorrow. Go to sleep. Think about it. Write about it. I don't care. Just be ready tomorrow when we talk about it. Just be ready. Because it's going to be a great topic. I know it's gonna be a banger. That might take us an hour, I think, depending. I don't know. But Idaho State University, their graduation rate is 58%. That meets the average. That meets the minimum of what it needs to. It's all right. That's pretty good. But the average annual cost to go to Idaho State University, guys, is 17 grand. 17 grand. That's a lot of money. So let's see. Let's fact check this. I'm typing in Idaho State University tuition rate. Tuition and fees. So Idaho State University tuition and fees. You know one thing I didn't make sure of? Where is this located? Hold on right quick, guys. Oh, this is a nice school. At least, is that at the campus? That's a nice picture. Let me see where they're based at before I do this. Hold on, guys. Make sure this is the right one. And I see you comment, G. Hold on. I'm just making another tab. Idaho State University. Yeah, this the right one. They're in Pocatello, Idaho. I think I said that right. So, what did G say? Did G say something related to this or? Oh yeah, I'll come back to that because I gotta write down something anyway from what you said, G. I'm writing that down. I'm not taking that for granted. So Idaho State University, they're saying that, yeah, okay. Oh wow, it's actually accurate. That's the first time I ever seen the college scorecard match the school website, like identical, like crazy, like 17 grand. It's like 17. Theirs is Idaho State University is 17,324. On their school website, it's 17,250. Perfect. So, guys, that includes your room and your meal plan. And then the tuition is $8,914 for the year. So, of course, we have to divide that by 2. We have to divide 8,000 by 2. And so that means your room and board is about $1,500. Not crazy. That's not crazy at all, I think. But so 8,8914 divided by 2 is about $4,000 in tuition, about almost $4,500 to be exact in tuition. It's a little expensive in tuition, but I don't know how true this is. They saying that a room is $3,300, and that's a yearly price. 3,300 divided by 2, that's about 1,500-ish. Yeah, 1,650. I don't know how accurate that is, because they saying books are $1,000, but that's $500 per semester. So interesting. But tuition, like I said, for the school is about, I'm gonna put that in again. It's about $44.57. So $44.57. $44.57. We'll keep going because I already know where I'm going with this. You know me. I like to have my purchasing power from $2,000 to $3,000 max. So that's the average annual cost if you go to Idaho State University. Your average salary after being 10 years removed from the institution, guys, you're looking at $46,000 after 10 years. You're either going to make over that or you're going to make under that. And so, yes, phone, I'm aware my battery is going dead. And so, just to keep that in mind, because I'm going to do times 2 for tuition alone. Then we're going to do times 4 if you're just paying like tuition to go there. You're looking at $35,000. Not bad, guys, because you're going to make more than you pay for school. So, but it doesn't include mandatory fees. So keep that in mind. Not bad. But like I said, with purchasing power. I'm imagining if I'm a student, because I'm imagining if I'm a student who does not have any money to go to school. Like, I know you're all going to have some type of resources, but if you're like coming to a point where you're going to have your own money, like we just talked about with scholarships, there are going to be times where your scholarships are going to get revoked. There's going to be times where you using financial aid that's going to get revoked. So you need to have money on the side and be having a part-time job or full-time job or whatever job that makes you income. Like G said, G had like 2 or 3 jobs in school. So, and G went to Ivy League, and G didn't have to pay nothing to go to school, but still wanted a job. So don't try to give us no excuses. Let's keep going. So graduation rate, as I said, 58%. But students who return after their first year is 72%. I can understand, because what's in Idaho? No offense, no anybody. I'm sorry, Idaho people. Don't get me. I'm sorry. I would come to Idaho if we build a community that has a strong fan base in Idaho. I would come to Idaho, and I'm eating all the potatoes and French fries. So they have 72% after their first year. That's a C. Whoa. Don't zoom in like that. 37% of students receive federal loans. They said if you go here to the school, because the total cost to go to the school is about 17 grand yearly. So they're saying that the average student will get 20 grand in student loan debt. The average student. So makes sense, right? Typical earnings. We talked about that. Ooh, this is not good. This is an F. It's still an F if it was 70%. This is an F. You have a 69% chance of making more than a high school student. That's not good. So, fun fact, Idaho State University has a 100% acceptance rate. Idaho State University actually has an open admission policy as a university. I'll tell you something interesting, guys. I used to think it was only 2-year colleges that had this. Ooh, go watch one of the old videos. But now, because I've seen this multiple times, some universities actually have an open admission policy. Very interesting. They do not require, they said here, College Scorecard said, we do not know. We are not sure that the SAT and ACT, they're not sure the SAT and ACT is required at the school. It's unknown, so we don't know that. But what we do know for sure is that, look, they have an open admission, so you're guaranteed to get into this school. Are you guaranteed to stay there? That's probably why students who stay after their first year is only 70-some%, because they just letting everybody go there. So they have to have an open admission policy. G, don't be roasting them. G said they got to have an open admission policy so they can get students. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure them students. And then I think, G, was Idaho, when we talked about that school yesterday, was Idaho on that list for University Northern, what that school was? University of Northern Iowa? Was Idaho on the border? Now I want to go see. But before we do that and talk about that, before we go and everything, I'm going to rate this school, guys, I'm going to rate it an F. Yeah, I'm going to rate it an F. Guys, the money is not, nope, they far away from each other. All right, okay, it wasn't Idaho. Okay. So, I'm going to give them an F because their tuition alone is too high, and they're probably I'm feeling like they're like a state school on top of that, and their tuition is just too high, like really far. I don't know. I saw like Idaho and Iowa, the eyes completely different. So they're F. They are F. A lot of factors, but the main factor is if I was transferring from a 2-year to a 4-year, guys, tuition is not in my purchasing power. Yeah, it gotta be. It gotta be a state school. Their tuition is not in my purchasing power, first and foremost. And so on top of that, they're like a state school. I don't think a state school like this is probably one of them schools. They're probably gonna always be around because they're a state school. G said in the comments they're like a state school. So if they're a state school, usually when it has that state in there, they're a state school. So that school's gonna be around. Like they'll probably never shut down because they need students to go to that school that's nearby. But I'm not paying that much money. And if I'm transferring from a 2-year to a 4-year, I'm probably gonna go to another school there because I'm pretty sure school's either gonna have the same price that can give me a return on investment better, or it's gonna be a school there that just has lower prices, and it really don't matter because I'm in Idaho. No offense to Idaho. Just talking all the smack about Idaho gonna get me. They gonna be so upset at me. And so I like to go to schools in my purchasing power. I do feel like, especially right now with the way things going up, until we start seeing wage increases, well, schools are steadily going up. So my $2,000 to $3,000 is very realistic because 2-year colleges are still in the $1,000 ranges. 4 years, I can't speak for sure on that. Like you're gonna find colleges like I see some in Georgia that are still like 2,000-ish, 2,500-ish, capping out at 3,000. So it's very doable, but they're very much an if, and they're not really gonna provide you a return on investment. The graduation rate is an if, and many more things, right? But if they want to redeem themselves, they can always reach out to us, and redeem themselves. So that's all on that. And G, real quick before we go, because I know you said one more comment in here. G said, unless you're pitching a business as an engineer, then say a lot of stuff they may not understand to show how technical you are, LOL. Okay. So the investor invests. Sound like you did that before, G. It sound like you did that before. I was just being cheeky. So right now I'm gonna take this last little bit. Of course, anybody can leave if they want to. I'm just writing down what G said earlier in the comment because I asked G a question about what's some of the best financial advice or advice that you got, going to Columbia, because G met some incredible people. So I'm just gonna write this down for my personal use to remind myself and motivation as I'm on my journey in life. So yeah. So I would start at right here. The economic system is a game. Sounds just like the movies. When you see that in movies, that the economic system is a game, and it is specifically designed with the idea that some people have to be at the bottom for some to be at the top. It's crazy. All right, I see G talking some stuff before we go. Let me read that real quick. Columbia has different people all the time. They even have something called the World Leaders Forum. Huh. You're not talking about the economic world Is it the World Economic Forum? You're not talking about that one, is it? That's a different type of forum you're talking about, right? Because I know about the World Economic Forum, but you said this is Columbia. Maybe you're talking about the World Economic Forum, where all the world leaders come together, like a pretty much a conference, a Comic-Con, and they pitch their businesses. But New York City, the NYC does, you just have to seek them out. It felt unreal to me when I was investigating it. And that's why it didn't surprise me when it said it. And I only asked to see his perspective. But for him to confirm what I would have called confirmation bias was so real for me. Not the World Economic Forum. Columbia has its own. Ah, okay. That's dope. Yeah, that's their own. Columbia. That's not the song. Columbia. NYC also has different kinds of people to talk to you. Just have to seek them out. That's what you had said. Okay. I'm glad you knew that when I was looking at that. So that's all, guys. Of course, we love having these conversations, the intellectual conversations. Appreciate you, G. Hopefully see you tomorrow. The World Economic Forum is the cover story for the, what's that word for? Okay. I don't know how to say that word. I'm gonna look it up though. Cool. And I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see all y'all tomorrow. Peace. Chicken grease, right? Peace, chicken grease. See y'all tomorrow.